Today I'm going to be tasting some wine from Artelium. I think it's Artelium, not quite sure how you pronounce that. I think I have had another wine from them before. It was when I was in Lewis for the bonfire celebrations back in November. It was a very short review. I was sort of distracted with other things, so I don't really have a very strong idea in my head of what this producer is like. The Curator's Cuve, I believe they call that. 2016 vintage. I'll read you the blurb. Chardonnay, Pinot Noir and Pinot Meunier, handpicked from a single vineyard and created by celebrated winemaker Dermot Segru. Rich and elegant, with an underlying depth and maturity brought by aging this traditional method wine for over 60 months on the lees, 5 whole years. I would say that's on the long side for the length of lees aging. Minimum, I think, required to follow the English sparkling wine standard, which of course you don't have to if you want to put English sparkling wine on the bottle as a label, is, I think, is it just 18 months? Typical sort of 2 to 3 years perhaps. Sort of gold colour there. What do we have on the nose? Straight away I'm getting kind of bready, autolytic type notes. Fruit wise, nothing is immediately jumping out at me so much. There's definitely a lot of autolytic character there. Maybe something a bit like white peach, maybe, or apricots or nectarines, that sort of stone fruit character there. A bit of orchard fruit, bit of stone fruit, bit of orchard fruit there. Not abundantly fruity, but then perhaps that's what you'd expect for something that's had such a long contact with the lees. There is a healthy dose of zing on the palate there. It's a bit of a trademark of a Dermot Segru wine. There's something either citrusy or appley from the Chardonnay. It's quite dry, it's quite zingy, really quite zingy, perhaps more lemon than, I don't know, it could be green apple. Some bitter notes. I think that's possibly why I'm struggling to pin down what I think about that acidity, is that in addition to the acidity, there is something slightly sort of bitter and astringent. Is that possibly the word I'm looking for? That's interesting. It's quite different. Not so obviously fruity and a lot of autolytic character. I don't know if immediately I would say this is the style that I would have chosen. I tend to like those really kind of fruit expressive wines. I have further mulled this over during the course of dinner, had Indian food for what it's worth. I think English sparkling wine tends to go pretty well with Indian food. The overall sort of summary that I'm converging on here is bitter lemon. I think that's increasingly what I'm getting from this. Quite bitter, quite dry. I think this must be relatively low on the dosage, and that long lees aging has left this sort of bitter complexity. I've seen that before in Dermot Segru made wines, particularly Trouble with Dreams. That was one of the sort of hallmarks of that bitter complexity. Bitter lemon, very dry, absolutely not sweet at all. And that possibly also might explain why I'm not getting a lot of fruit expression here, because sometimes sugar helps fruit to express itself, to make that more evident. I'm on the fence today. Normally I like things that are bitter. I like the Negroni, for example, is my favourite cocktail. In a sparkling wine, sometimes a bit of bitterness is good, interesting, complex and nuanced. I don't know. I could go either way with this. I'm not sure if I like it or I don't, but it was certainly different and interesting. I'll give it that. Cheers.